Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. How are you all doing? Please go ahead and make use of the chat. I love seeing, you use the chat. As you know, it's a really great function. Really enjoyed all of the comments yesterday in the chat. It was great. So what I thought we would do today is I also want to just finish up hearing from everyone who has not introduced themselves from the group first. And I want to see, I realize that some of us might still be coming in. Apologies for the noise on my end. So let's see if we're getting everybody here. Great. Do we have Joe Wu? Is Joe Wu with us this morning? Yeah.
Yes,
Joe,
I'm
hi.
here. Hi, Carla.
Hi, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And also if you are more toward lyrics or melody?
How do I start? I used to perform back in university, but I never performed in English. And I also uh, I've been JPAC member since 2016. I helped in their productions. The last time is in as stage manager in the last 5 years. And as for
That's
the
great.
yes, and I think I'm more to the lyric because I have no idea about music. Like I only start vocal lessons just like last year, so I really have no knowledge about music. But I like to write sometimes, like in my journal or in a piece of paper when I feel something, feel angry, feel sad. I usually write it down on it. So I think I'm more to making lyrics.
Perfect. No, that sounds really good. And what would be one of your favorite songs?
I think there are a lot.
Just one that maybe you're
Oh,
listening to these days or
maybe the one that I used to listen a lot is like Siuna Fest by Selena.
okay.
Um, yeah, it's kind of helped me a lot during difficult times a couple of years ago. So uh, I found the song and it's in Spanish. I don't understand any Spanish, but then when I used Google Translate to look at the meaning, I was like, oh my God, I can relate to this really. And yeah, I've been listening it for years.
Oh, I love that. That's really great that you took the time to do a song in Spanish. I
Yeah,
love that, Joe. Thank you.
thank you,
Thank you for
Carla.
sharing with us, and a big round of applause to you. And yeah, everyone on the chat, please join in welcoming. This is a really important time, and we won't always have the time to, we're going to have, as I said, a lot of work to do. So I really wanted to take the time to have us get to know each other. Do we have Jane Elena? Jane Elena, are you with us? Maybe she's not here yet. Josephine Angelica, is Josephine with us?
Yes. Hi, Carla.
Hi, Josephine, where are you?
Sorry, I'm still in the car. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Well, we'll come back to you. We'll give you a few minutes.
Okay.
Or, if you can, yeah, there you are. Great.
Yes.
Great. Josephine, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Nice
Do you
to
play
meet
any
you.
instruments?
Instrument is vocal. I did learn piano as a kid, but I stopped because I got bored of it, and then I fell in love with vocal.
Great. And are you more toward lyric writing or toward melody, would you say?
I think I'm more of a lyric person, although I love a good melody, but I think with lyric, you can like tell so many stories.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Have you ever written a song or written lyrics or anything like that?
Well, for the past year since the pandemic, I've been trying to write my own musical, but I haven't been able to succeed. I have written like songs here and there just for fun, but never anything serious.
Your own,
Yeah,
so okay,
hopefully
wow, your own musical. That is huge. What has prevented you from succeeding? I think we lost you. Josephine, are you with us?
I think people who can help me because I can't oh, yes. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. I think it was choppy for a minute there. Go ahead.
I think I just need to find a group of people who are willing to help me too, because I don't think I know a lot of people who can compose music too.
So maybe
Yeah.
this is your group.
Yes, hopefully.
Oh, that's so great to hear. That's wonderful. And tell me, what is a song that you listen to frequently? What's one of your favorites?
Right now I'm listening to How to Return Home by Kerrigan and Loudermilk
Yeah.
because I'm currently writing my own cabaret actually for my university, for my exam, for my final.
What is your major in university?
I'm majoring in music theater at Sydney, Australia.
What? Okay. Anyone in the group who is either has majored or is majoring in a musical or lyric discipline, please put it in the chat. I need to know this. So you are in Sydney right now. What time is it there?
I'm currently still in Indonesia, so I'm doing online courses because during the pandemic I had to go home and I haven't been able to go back yet.
Great.
So I'm doing
Okay.
online. So yeah, I'm just crafting my own cabaret right now. And one of the songs is How
Amazing.
to Return Home by Kerrigan and Loudermilk. And Kerrigan and Loudermilk is so good at writing songs. Their lyrics is so it's song you know
Yeah.
what happens. It's cute.
Maybe you can put a link in the chat so that we can all hear, for those of you who don't know. That would be great. Well, awesome.
Yes.
We look forward to hearing more about the cabaret. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Josephine. Thank you. And let's see, do we have Asti Araya? Asti, are you
Hello.
with us?
Yes.
Hey.
Hello, Carla.
Hi, Asti. How are you? It's great to meet you. Oh,
I'm
your
good,
hair is
thank
so
you.
long.
Yes.
Beautiful. Whoa, whoa. I
Hello.
would, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you a musician at all? Do you write? Would you define yourself?
Yeah, I'm like to sing. I like performing arts. I think I'm more to lyricist.
Or
I
lyrics,
can
okay?
do a bit of I can do a bit of piano, but yeah, I just play it when I was a child. So now I don't really play piano.
Okay. Okay. Do you write lyrics frequently? Do you write, and how do you do that? Through poetry or just through writing? How do you approach your writing?
Yeah, I was writing a song long ago, but just for fun and not for a commercial one.
Okay.
But I'm really
Great.
excited to be in this group, and yeah,
We're
looking forward.
excited to have you. When you were writing your book, was it fiction? Were you making things up, or was it more based on truth?
It is based on truth.
Great. Okay. Well, this is exciting. We have another writer in the group. What would be one of your favorite songs?
I think I have a lot of favorite songs, like musical songs, also songs with another language. Like I also like K-pop too, or singing in Japanese too, Japanese language.
You can sing in Japanese.
Yes, because yeah, before I was singing in Japanese too. Yeah, but now I think I like You Will Be Found. Lately, I was hearing a lot You Will Be Found. Do you
You Will
know?
Be Found. Who is it by?
You Will Be Found from Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh, from Dear Evan Hansen. Of course. Of course. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good choice. Really good choice. That's so cool also that you can sing in Japanese. How many of you in the group can sing in another language? Let's see. You already, I'm assuming, can sing in Indonesian and in English. Are there any other languages? If so, will you put them in the chat? So if you sing in a different language, let me know in the chat. French. Wow. Very cool. So impressed. Spanish. Okay, this is really good for me to hear. Asti, thank you so much. We're welcome to the group. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And let's see, do we have Charin? Am I saying it correctly? Charin?
Hi, it's me. It's actually
Hi,
pronounced Karen
Corinne. I'm sorry,
or
Corinne.
Karen, whatever you want to call it.
Hey, well, it's really nice to meet you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you a musician? Do you play any instruments?
Um, I only sing, but I used to play the piano when I was just like a kid, but I totally forgot it now. As for now, I just focus on my vocals.
That's great. And how long have you been singing?
Hmm, Probably since I was a kid, like 4 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Okay. That's amazing. What are some of your favorite songs to sing?
That's a hard question, but I really like R&B and musical. I also like pop,
Okay.
but uh, I really like Tori Kelly's rendition of "Don't You Worry About a Thing."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that.
I have not heard anybody reference R&B yet. So I'm really glad that you like R&B. That's so cool. Have you had any experience writing songs?
For fun, yes, but nothing really that serious yet. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And what would be one of your favorite songs? I know you mentioned the Tori Kelly, but do you have another favorite you want to share with us?
A song that I usually like I frequently listen to, especially in the morning, is the opening sequence of La La Land. Another day.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, I really, really love the song and the lyrics.
Awesome. That's a great choice. Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you for being with us. Everybody, warm welcome for Karen. Yay, gosh, we have such a talented group. So there are two more people. Do we have Friska Saputra with us? Friska, are you here? Maybe she's not here yet. Oh, yes,
Hello.
there she is. Hi, Friska. Hi,
Hi.
nice to meet you.
Hi, Carla. Hi, friends. Nice to have you here also.
It's great to meet you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Actually, my background is not in art, but I just jumped there in the musical company in Indonesia. It's called the Eki Exotica Karma Wibangga Indonesia. And
Okay.
I was there actually doing the costume, doing the what do you call that? The props for dance.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So
doing the props.
what made you jump in? Like what was it that inspired you?
Well, actually, at first, I was working as a secretary like 20 years ago, and then my boss make this dance company, and he said, "Why don't you jump in?" And I said, "I know nothing about art," and he said, "Okay, you can learn." So
So
that's
what
how.
have you learned? What are some of the key things you've learned?
Actually, what I learned here, I love the the philosophy of this company because they are, what do you call that? They would like to share like the open-mindedness, and we share the things on stage, like the topic and the themes that we all know, but it was never talked about.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. So actually, I'm a craft person, and I jump here. I want to learn from you guys.
This is so amazing. And let me ask you, do you have any preference between melody or lyric writing? I mean, is there one that calls to you more than the other?
Yes, I love writing poems.
Oh, great. Great. So
I love
you have
writing
experience
poems.
writing poems.
Yes, and sometimes I made my own song, but only for a lullaby for my sons.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you're very natural, I think.
But I don't have any academic or whatever. Actually, it's just for fun.
Amazing. Amazing. I guess the last question is do you have a favorite song?
Actually, I love the one from the Phantom of the Opera. I love. what's the title is that? Wishing you were somehow, wishing you were somehow here again.
Here again. Yes, that's a great one. I think everyone in this group probably loves that one too. It's a really beautiful song. I'm so honored that you chose to be with us, Friska. Thank you so much. I hope that this will be a good experience for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Carla, and for the friends here. I learned so much from you guys.
Oh, I'm so happy you're with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think now, do we have Jane Elena? Is Jane Elena with us?
Yes, hi, I'm here.
Hi, Jane Elena. How are
Hello.
you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm sorry, it's really dark.
It's okay.
We're experiencing blackout.
You guys have a blackout?
Sorry, not a blackout. It's just my house and a couple others in the neighborhood.
Okay, well, I can see you perfectly fine. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Jane.
Okay, cool. Hi, I'm Jane. I'm 20 years old. I haven't written a lot of songs, but I have been starting to write a couple songs, and I'm hoping to get that out pretty soon.
Uh-oh, I think it just cut out.
Yeah.
I think maybe because of the power outage, but Jane, we're going to come back to you if you can hear us. Maybe not today, but whenever the power situation is a little bit better, we're going to come back to you. So guys, now that we've gone through everyone except Jane, well, a little bit of Jane, I personally am like even more excited because I see how much talent is in the room. And I also see that, oh, I'm so sorry, Rebecca. Rebecca, please jump in here. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Rebecca
But
Leone, where are you?
yeah, Jane was actually here. Should we move with her first? Jane is already back.
Oh, are you back, Jane?
Yes, I'm back. I'll
Great.
keep it short because it's very unstable. I haven't written a lot of songs, but I'm hoping to, and I'm so excited to meet you guys.
Thank you, Jane. Do you have a favorite song?
Oh, my favorite song. I actually like a lot of alternative pop and a bit of rock as well.
Ooh, okay.
The one I'm thinking of, yeah, the one I'm thinking of right now is called Lions Inside.
Cool. Well, maybe put that in the chat for us too. Thank you so much, Jane. Big round of applause for Jane. And Rebecca, I'm sorry. Please come forward. I'm so sorry about that.
That's fine because we have two Rebecca in the group. Hi, Becca. Hey, another Becca. We're going to get.
Okay, Becca. Well, thank you so much. So, do you go by Becca or Rebecca?
Either way is good. I think we should. Whenever name that Rebecca Dwipalupi does not use, I will use.
Okay. Okay. Well, you guys have different last names too, so it's okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So where do I start? In the performing arts, I was actually never really trained professionally, but I joined a community theater when I was in college, and that was my first experience in joining production. We did a original musical too, and to answer whether I'm a lyric or more musical person. As a creator, I think I'm more a lyric person because that's what I can do. But as a music enthusiast, I think I love music more because it's like a whole experience. When you listen to the music without the lyrics, you can feel things. So I am currently working at a nonprofit, youth-led nonprofit organization. My passion, if I can say that, is actually on women empowerment and gender equality. So that's why I'm really excited.
Oh, wow.
It's an issue that is very personal to me, and I think for all the women out there. But I am currently focusing on, aside from that issues, gender equality and women empowerment, I'm also working on tolerance and peace building issues. Yeah, that is all from me, I think.
I'm really so thankful that you're in the group because you'll be able to be our reference for why, you know, why this work is so important. And how many of you in the chat have had experience advocating for women's issues? Has anybody else had any experience with that? Oh, the other Rebecca, both of our Rebeccas. Okay, interesting, great. Well, Rebecca Leone, do you have a favorite song that you'd like to share with us?
I'm going to throw another K-pop song. So this is the song that I've been listening for like maybe, but from the end of last year. It's called "End of the Day" by Jonghyun Shiny. I think that's the song is very personal to me because it's a song that says every end of the day you have worked hard, you did your best, so it's time to rest, and it's okay if you feel sad, if you feel disappointed, it's okay. Let's rest and let's go forward tomorrow. I think in the middle of this catastrophe pandemic, it's really a soothing. It's like a transition when you have a long day and then you end the day and then you will have time for yourself. So it's a very comforting song for me.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Maybe you can put it in the chat for us. That it sounds like that would be a really special song to hear. So round of applause for Rebecca. Thank you for everything you do. And Natalia, okay, guys, I'm so sorry. Please let me know. Natalia, come forward. We want to hear from you too.
Hi, Carla. Can I call you Miss, if that's okay?
You can call me Carla. You can call me Miss, whatever you prefer.
Hi, my name is Natalia. You can call me Nat or Natal, which means Christmas in Indonesia. So lots of people or my friends call me Christmas girl most of the time. And yeah.
Sweet. Do you have a favorite Christmas carol?
I don't know.
You must get that question all the time. So Natalia, what would be your background with this? Are you more coming from the performing arts? Are you more coming from the writing side?
I think from performing art. Yeah, I sing. I started singing when I was 4 years old, and yeah.
Amazing. And so do you perform actively? Is that something that you're doing?
I've been also performing since I was 4 in a restaurant. That's my first performance.
Wow. Okay, so you've been doing, you know what you're doing as a performer. Have you ever written a song? Have you ever tried to write a song?
Yeah, in the bathroom.
Okay, that counts. And what about lyrics? Have you worked on lyrics ever?
Yeah, every time I'm when I take a bath.
Okay, great. What is one of your favorite songs to listen to?
There's a lot, to be honest, but I think I'm more into TXT, short for Tomorrow by Together. And one of the songs that I like from them is Maze in the Mirror, which is talk about how hard life is in this world, in the reality.
I don't know that song. Will you put it in the chat for us so that I can hear it?
Okay, Miss.
That would be really great. No, thank you so much. And thank you for speaking up, Natalia. I'm sorry that I didn't see you earlier, but now I'm going to call on you a lot because now that you were the last one to go, has everybody introduced themselves? Please, if you haven't, please let me know in the chat. So if we've gone through everyone, I am so delighted to meet you. Yeah, it's just super exciting to me. Maze in the Mirror. There we go. So here's what I thought we would do. I want to spend the next 30 minutes or so talking a little bit and showing you some examples of music, and we're going to take a short break. It's good. Let's launch in. What I wanted to do first is start by introducing you, and every session or every few sessions, we're going to have some examples because I think it's really important. This is an organization called Playing for Change. And what they do is that they bring people together. Let me close this up to do songs with participants from around the world. And I'm sure you guys are going to recognize some of these people. Sarah Bareilles. There are all kinds of artists here that you would know, and some artists that you may not know. So I'm just going to take a song like this and I'm going to play the video so that you can see a little bit of how it is that they do what they do.
Bright blessed day and the dark secret night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see how you do.
Okay, I'm just going to show you different snippets of a few different songs because sorry. I want to give you a sense a little bit of the work that they do. We're going to hear a couple of different songs here. I think you'll recognize a lot of these.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You might.
Okay. Again, I'm just going to go through a couple of these songs really quickly so that you get the sense. Here's our musical theater girl, Sarah Bareilles.
Show me the tops of the canyons above the sea and say, look around you, your kingdom's wide. Carry the weight of this world with pride. I am humble and I'm confused. There is no mountain I've found here that I can move. And you your heart is great, so will you follow it closely and let it show you your fate and keep playing for love, playing for peace, playing for light, come down and set me free, playing to save, playing for change, playing for peace.
So I will stop there. How many of you had been aware of this organization? I'm going to put the website here so you can look at it on your own time. Has anybody ever heard of them, Playing for Change? No. forchange.com. So I want you guys to raise your hands. We're going to just discuss this a little bit. Who can tell me a little bit of how they thought that these songs were advocacy tools? How does a video like this, how does a song like this relate to advocacy? There's no right or wrong answer. As I said, right now, we're just going to take a little time to explore this. Who wants to try? Great. Rebecca.
Hi. I think if I want to correlate it with my own ideas, I think personally for me, I used to think that advocacy is something you should do in UN stable United Nations or big conference. But lately I've been defining advocacy more of relaying message to encourage for change, and who are the one relaying those message are very important. For example, as we saw in the video, we can see the diversity of who are relaying those message. It's not only people who are privileged. It's actually people who are the most vulnerable. I mean, we cannot say that people in Africa are all desperate, but we know that they are systematically being oppressed, or they face
Right.
discrimination, etc. So I think the fact that they are the ones who are voicing their own concern, it's empowering for them, and also it's like encouraging people to see that there are changes, or there are like peace message that needs to be taken serious, things like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, that was very, very well said, Rebecca. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else want to share a different perspective or add to what Rebecca was just saying? You guys are quiet today. Oh, good. Our other Rebecca. Come on, Rebecca.
Okay, hi Carla and hi everybody. I think art is a universal language. So when we like a local issue, it's easier to us to communicate with people in other region or in the world. So actually, I have experience in art advocacy before, but not in a song, but in film and also in poetry. So I see how art can move a people heart, and how can we bring easy issue is more easier than we just talk in like a seminar or talk show. And I think it's very hard to people to understand it. But when we talk about art, people can feel the atmosphere and really can easier to touch their heart. So I think it's a very meaningful can join this workshop too. And
well, I'm so curious, Rebecca, what you mentioned that you've had some direct experience with advocacy. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, actually I'm okay, art advocacy. I used to be make a film about a documentary film, a short documentary film about inclusive public school in Surabaya, in my city. So it's about a school where disabilities and non-disability students learning together. So then yeah, that's a program from US Embassy too, actually. So I joined the competition before. It's called 3065 Digital Storyteller Network. So it's around in 2016. So I bring the issues, and it's to raise the awareness, the society about that disabilities can learn together with non-disability students. So fantastic. I think, yeah, and just only with like 3 or 5 minutes film, people can understand about these big issues. So maybe exactly. Yeah, not only like just you attend the workshop with like very hard words or terms, but in film, people can feel what I feel because that's my school actually. So I learn with my friends with disabilities, and I learn about my experience to them, and they know what I feel, and they know about what the struggle of disability students. Yeah.
So you've said something really important here that is going to be a theme we're going to come back to a lot. And that is that it's your story. That you know, that was your school and you got to learn with your friends who had disabilities or those who did not have the disabilities. And so this is actually, you're perfectly leading us to our next point. Being able to understand your story and your truth, in my mind, is the very first step in any kind of advocacy setting. So the first exercise that we're going to do, and this is going to be some homework, but don't worry, I'm going to give you a little bit of time also here. I want you to reflect a lot, to think a lot in the next few weeks before we get to the Hear Her Song portion where we're collectively writing the songs. We're actually first, as an exercise, going to work on a song for our group. And it's just for fun song. It's not going to be part of Hear Her Song, but I want you to understand the songwriting process. So what we're going to do is actually, and I think JPAC, I may start this now because I think this will take a little bit of time. So what we're going to do is I'm going to invite you to take a few moments, and I want you to write down your story as though you were telling somebody about your life. We're going to take some time here, and it's also going to go through the break. So I'm going to give you roughly 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm going to play some music. And I expect you to write a good page, maybe more. And this is not something, I want to emphasize this point. I am not going to read your stories. Nobody else is going to read your stories. The story is just for you. But when we come back together, we are going to look for some commonalities and look for some differences in our stories. So first and foremost, the story is personal. It's yours. You do not have to share it. You will not be asked to share it. So if you want to put very, personal things in there, I invite you to do so. This is just for you. In your writing, you should really think about, what is my story? And I don't want to give you too many hints on this because there's no right or wrong way to tell your story. But when we come back, I will share with you a little bit of how I crafted my story and how I look at this exercise. So yeah, we're going to take 20 minutes at 9:05 my time, which I think is 8:05 your time. We're going to come back. So we're going to go through the break. And I'll play a little bit of music. And again, I wanted to give you some time here to do it because we're going to join back and do a little bit of talking about that. So you can leave your cameras on or turn your cameras off. I'm going to actually play the soundtrack to Hear Her Song so you can hear that. But this is a personal inward exercise. So try to be as quiet and personal with this as possible. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. Just a quick show of hands. How many of you felt like you need more time? Can you put in the chat? Did anybody feel like they need a lot more time? Okay. Yeah, it takes time. There's a really famous exercise that I'll try to bring this in next time, that says like in the mornings you should start with like 20 minutes of just writing uninterrupted. So I was trying to give you guys 20 minutes, but it always seems like it takes a little time to get into that groove. So I'm wondering first if someone could maybe mention that, because especially when we get into either writing lyrics or composing, it's not just like you can sit down and do it, right? It takes a little bit of time to put yourself in the right mind space, to sort of be inspired, if you will. I'm sure you've all heard of writer's block and things like that. Well, for the purposes of today, I think that's good. If you still need time to like go and run to the bathroom or get a coffee or something, feel free to jump and go do that. But what I really wanted to do is just use this as an exercise. So let's think a little bit back on our stories. And as you do that, I'm going to tell you how I frame my story. And then we're going to do some exercises together. Does that sound okay? I know this can be very personal work also. And if you feel that you want to turn your camera off or just take a minute or I understand that. And if we were all in the room together, like, I think we would feel that energy of support, but even in the Zoom, I hope you can feel that from me. So for my story, when I was doing this exercise for the first time, I realized that it's very easy for me to have two narratives. One narrative is the narrative that I sort of show to the public. Hi, I'm Carla. My mother is Mexican. My father is Bulgarian. I was born in the United States, the first daughter and the first American in my family. I have two brothers. I grew up in Michigan. I'm a singer. All of these things, the way that we sort of outwardly present, right? That's one narrative. But the longer I was writing, the more I realized that there is a deeper narrative. There's what I call an inner voice, or, the narrative of the emotional realm. And so if I were to tell you my story of that realm, it would be something like, I felt that I was born into a state of cultural confusion. I had these two very different cultures to learn about. My mom's very Catholic, traditional Mexican culture. My dad's a European, somewhat machista culture. And then I also had to quickly adapt to being American. And that was in order to survive at school. So I felt like a chameleon, that I was always juggling these things and always translating, so to speak. And when I was translating, I also felt like I could tell what gets lost in translation. And those are small things having to do with emotion. So when I turned to singing, singing for me was a release of all of that emotion. So first of all, I'm wondering if you guys can feel the difference between those two narratives. The first narrative is a very kind of matter-of-fact, statistical, my mom is Mexican, my dad is Bulgarian. The second narrative is, this is how that made me feel. Having these parents from two different cultures made me feel confused. And in that confusion, I felt like I had to adapt constantly. And I was also trying to become American, and that was stressful for me. Can someone maybe explain the difference between those two narratives? Can I see a show of hands of what that translates for you? Does anyone understand that concept? These are very delicate concepts to cover on Zoom. And again, forgive me, I know it's hard to do this, but what I'm really trying to make sure you understand is this distinction. So if I were to go on with the emotional realm, I would not write in my story about, I went to college here and I did this and this was my debut. I would probably say, well, the first time I kissed a boy, I was, 15, and it was in a party and I had butterflies in my stomach. And, then the first time I had a real heartache, I was 18. And I would list the emotional moments in my life and how they affected me. So I'm very curious to hear from you now. When you did this exercise, how many of you, just put in the chat, me, how many of you looked at this, because I gave very little assignment, very little context. How many of you looked at this as a sort of factual assignment? Just put me in the chat. Nobody looked at this as factual. Wow. Okay. How many of you looked at it as emotional? That is fantastic. Wow. Okay. That's already like very, very telling. Because again, the world of music is an expressive world. And if we want to engage with an audience in a deep emotional way, I've always said, and maybe this is the only thing you should take away from this class, there's two keys to that: being vulnerable enough to bare your soul, to bear all of your emotion, but being confident enough to be willing to do that. And so that is like the sharp line on the knife. It's such, if you go too much one way or too much the other way, it doesn't quite work. If someone goes with too much confidence on stage, they can seem arrogant, right? And I think we've all seen examples of that. And when someone does not have enough confidence, they can seem way too nervous, or, you know, we don't emotionally trust them on stage because we're worried about them in the audience. We're worried, right? So you really have to have that fine balance between those two. Now I'm curious, when you were writing your stories, how many of you, and you can just put me in the chat, how many of you felt that you were reliving that emotion? Or were, just put me, if you felt like when you were writing it, you were experiencing some kind of like emotional butterflies. A lot of you, huh? Yeah, so it's interesting also because when we talk about acting, and I know some of you may be working with Andrea or performing, part of it is also tapping into that emotion, understanding that emotion, right? And being able to call upon that emotion. In other words, to really remember, what did those things feel like? How many of you feel disconnected? And I will say, for me, there are things I feel very disconnected about, like I can talk about. I'll give you an example. This is kind of a hard one, but my father disowned me for about 10 years. We didn't speak for a long time. And JPAC, we don't need to record this part, or we can. It's right. I just know that this is personal. How many of you have had a trauma or something like, you know, very powerful to happen that you can now write about and it doesn't affect you as much? Yeah. So it's interesting because we go through a lot of journeys with these things that we live, whether they're trauma or an event that we don't even process for a long time. And this is why, guys, I wanted to tell you, like at the beginning, it's really important for us to feel like we're building trust in our group, and why I wanted to get to know you. And I'm going to share a lot about myself. And it's okay sometimes if you want to like turn your screen off, if it gets to be too much, if you need to have a good cry. Gosh, I'm sure I will cry during this session at some point during these next few weeks. But remember, our ability to tap into the emotion is what makes us special. It makes us artists. It's what gives us something to say, and why working on songs and advocacy is so important. How many of you have heard of the word empathy? How many of you are familiar with that word? I'm going to call on somebody. Let's see, Shah. Shah, what do you think empathy means? Can you give us a definition?
I think it's when somebody is experiencing like unpleasant things, then we kind of feel like we need to give them some encouragement and words, some maybe like advice to make them feel better.
That's a really good way to look at it. And I think it's the impulse to make someone feel better, right? That makes us empathetic. So thank you, Shah. That was really good answer. Who can tell me what is the difference between being sympathetic and being empathetic? Does anybody know the difference between those two? Anyone want to try? Yes, Naomi, what do you think the difference is?
Yes, for me, sympathy is we can understand the other's problem from our own perspective, but empathy needs more than that. It's you really in their shoes.
Yes.
So you walk with their shoes.
That's exactly right. Thank you. Also, perfect definition. Sympathy is like, yeah, you feel for them, but empathy is you actually feel with them. You walk in their shoes, you feel that emotion. So for how many of you, when I said the thing that happened with my dad, like he and I didn't speak for 10 years and it made me very sad. How many of you felt sad for me when I said that? You can just write me in the chat. How many of you felt sad with me? Maybe you have felt a sadness related to somebody who is close to you. It doesn't have to be your father, but that someone turned away from you and you felt like, oh, I know what that feeling was that Carla felt. So I understand that feeling. So that's sort of the difference between sympathy and empathy. Now I want to turn to the stories, but before we do that, and again, I'm not going to ask anyone to read their stories. We're not like, that's very personal and I respect that. And just so you get a sense of the group, for me to be having such a conversation on day 2 is also indicative of the trust and the love and the support I think that we have here. So you will always, I hope, feel protected in this group. But we will dive into some of these emotional things because that's our work. That's our job as songwriters, as advocates. As advocates, we need to empathize. We need to feel in order to communicate that with the rest of the world. And it is a very taxing, like it's hard when you're feeling these things so deeply all of the time. So we have to replenish those feelings with the love and support of the group. And that's why I think the more that we start to get into our groups for the songs, and you'll be doing a lot of things, like I said, in collaboration, I hope that this will be really enjoyable for you. In terms of the stories, I'm going to, again, do this on the chat. How many of you in your story put something that related to your parents? Could be good or bad, but related to your parents. Great. I'm seeing quite a few people related something to their parents. How many of you put something in your story that related to a love kind of experience? Maybe some of you are married or have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. So, okay. Yes. And guys, know that I read everything you put in here. I don't always take a moment to type back because I want to focus on the class, but I'm reading everything. Okay. How many of you put something in your story that relates to someone in your family who is not your parents or your significant other, like a brother or a sister or a grandmother or an aunt or an uncle? Did anybody reference another part of their family? Yeah. Okay, this is really helpful for me. They're all okay. So we sort of tend to value our families a lot in these stories, and definitely also value love. how many of you wrote something in your stories about hopes or dreams for the future? I'm seeing a lot of me's. And it's interesting, right? That is also often a central theme. So what we're doing here, without sharing our stories, and I regret that let me see if I can find a way to do this. Thank you for bearing with me. You guys are such a patient group because I'm not very technologically savvy, but I think I can find a way to do this. Yes, okay. I am going to try this exercise now. Again, sharing my screen. Okay. Forgive my very messy laptop. So we have cited that we have had family, especially parents. We've had love, partners. We have had hopes and dreams. So now I'm going to stop sharing just so you see that I'm creating this sort of database of what do we have in common. These are our commonalities as a group. Can you tell me how many of you shared a story or something in your story having to do with heartache or trauma of some kind, something that was painful? Okay. Great. And again, the message, the stories are, you don't have to put them anywhere. You don't have to share them with anyone. These are your stories just for you. Like if you want to save them in a folder for you, that's great. Right now, what we're doing is just seeing what do we have in common from all of the stories. And so far, again, family, mostly parents, love, partners, hopes, dreams, heartache, trauma. How many of you may have put something about job related, like wanting to perform or wanting to have a better job or something that's, let's say, professionally related? Okay. Great. So on my list here, without sharing my screen again, I have, again, family, love, hopes and dreams, heartache, trauma, and profession. Who would like to share if they think that there's another category that I have forgotten? Like, for instance, I'm going to, like, spoiler alert, health. Did anybody put anything about health in their stories? Nothing. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. A few. Yes. So that's sort of theirs to some degree. Mental health definitely counts. Okay. So what other categories are we missing? Yes, Santi, thank you. Friendship. So here we go, group. How many of you put something about friendship in your stories? And I'll get to self-identity in a moment. Let's do friendship. Yep. Okay, so we're getting some for friendship. Next, what about new question, self-identity or self-discovery? Did anyone write about that? Great. How about what about anything let's say spiritual or religious, having to do with blessings, having to do with any kind of spiritual practice? Did anybody write about that? Great. Yeah, okay. Okay. So, I'm going to share my screen again. You guys are going to have whiplash from this. Sorry. So we have these categories, I guess I'm seeing right now. Oh, yeah, sorry. Well, I'll have to number them separately, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So like 8 main categories. Have I forgotten anything? Would anybody like to raise their hand and offer something else? Children, for instance, fear. Joe, that's a really good one. That's a really good one. Did anybody in their stories talk about something that they might be afraid is going to happen or could happen? Yeah. Oh, good one. Okay, we're going to add that one. Very good one. Grief. Oh my gosh, a huge one. Absolutely. Now, I cited heartache or trauma, but grief is a different way to look at this. Like, did anybody write about going through grief? How about secrets? Yeah, I think there are some for grief. Secrets, is that something? Yeah. So these are like some other ones to think about. Discrimination, that's a very powerful one. Betrayal. Anybody write about betrayal? I'm thinking about the Pinter play now. Sort of ties into some of the other ones too, doesn't it? So, okay, it's, here's the exercise, right? We've each taken some time to write our story. And now we're starting to take time to identify common themes. What do all of us, all 52 of us here, and I should have said this, observers, you are always more than welcome here to do the exercise with us. I mean, you're here, you might as well do it with us. Forgive me, and I will try to be more clear about that going forward. But all of us here seem to have a good 10, 12 commonalities, right? And so if we were to start to construct a song for our group and for our collective experience, and I'm going to put these in the chat. And this is where we're going to do some breakout things and things of that nature. So I'm trying to give you a starting taste so that you can see what this process is going to be like. To writing lyrics. So we have, I'm putting these all in the chat now. They're a little messy, forgive me. But this is more or less some of the topics that we have discussed. Now, Mario, I'm going to turn to you because you are our experienced lyric writer. When you see these words, if you were looking at this sort of thematically, tell me, for you, how would you approach writing, let's say, a poem or lyrics that reflect these? I'm just curious to hear what your process would be like. Do you mind if I'm putting you on the spot?
No, sure, it's okay. Do you mean how to choose, or what exactly are you asking?
It's a good question. So let's say that you were commissioned to come to the group and we said, Mario, we're the advocacy group at Triple Threat Academy. And these are the things that are on our minds. These are the things we have in common. We have in common, we care about our family. We have in common that we've had love and we care about love. We have hopes and dreams. We've had heartache and trauma. Sort of some of these are similar and they dovetail. What would you do as a lyricist? Would you choose one? Would you be able to choose more than one? How would you approach doing a song that could reflect this group. And there's no right or wrong answer here.
Yes.
Nothing right or
Okay.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try to answer
Yeah.
according to my experience. I think I need to elaborate more about for each theme
Yes.
and finding the the similar emotion. I think like when we say about love, hope, friendship, etc. Is it a positive emotion or a or more like a negative emotion? Then
Exactly.
yeah, I would really find the similar emotion behind the theme first.
Yes,
That's how I
Mario.
thought.
Yay. I'm so happy to hear you say that because first of all, there is no right or wrong answer, but I think that this path that you have delineated for us is exactly the way that we're going to look at this for Hear Her Song.
Yay!
Right? Yeah, exactly. Because right now we've delineated some very broad themes, but you as a lyricist, you don't know. Is it positive relationship with the family? Is it positive love story? Is it a negative love story? So, and also that there are, just looking at these words, some positive words and some painful words, let's say. I mean, grief, fear, discrimination. These are very like strong feelings, right? And let's say painful feelings. So that is where now we have to do some more investigative work, almost like a researcher, right? So thank you, Mario. You did, that was really fantastic. Let's all take Mario's advice now. So this is where, without going too much into detail, but we would also make some choices because I am gathering that most of you here have had, let's say, positive and negative experiences. How many of you in the chat have been in love in a great, fantastic, beautiful way before? How many of you have ever felt very happy in love? I know I definitely have. Okay. So it sounds like a lot of us have had a positive experience with love. But how many of us have ever had a painful experience with love? Maybe someone broke up with us, or, you know, someone, all kinds of scenarios, right? So it looks like we have probably had, I mean, roughly 50-50. So then we have a choice to make. Do we want to tell a song that is about the positive experience, or do we want to tell a song that is about the negative experience? And that's the kind of investigative work and also decision making that the songwriter will do. So any questions so far? I know I'm going very, very quickly. Does anybody have any questions on anything we've covered? No. Okay. Okay. So now what I want to do in the brief time that we have left is shift a little bit from these adjectives that we've looked at, which are, if you look at that list that I put in the chat, I'll put it in here again. These themes, let's call them, do you think that they are personal to Indonesia, since most of you are Indonesian, I'm supposing, or do you think that these are universal? You can put it in the chat. I think it's a pretty basic question. Yeah, these seem pretty universal. I mean, I definitely identify with all of these. So these are universal. Now, I want to challenge you. I want you to tell me, what do you think would be some of the benefits, the positive, beautiful things about being Indonesian? Can you put some words in the chat for me? What do you like about being Indonesian? Good food, tolerance, diversity, culture. Gojek. Okay, whoa. Anastasia, what is Gojek? Or is
The
that-
online vehicle, they can do the food delivery.
Wait, what? Say it one more time.
It's an online transportation, but they can do the food delivery, like from everywhere, as long as the merchant is registered.
Oh, wow. So you
It's
could
like
just
Uber
order
Eats.
whatever food you want through Gojek.
Yes.
That sounds really good. What about martabak? Martabak? Nikki, can you tell me about that? Is Nikki with us? Nikki Satmaka. Martabak.
It's a food made from heaven. So you should try it one of these days.
Wait, what is it? Is it sweet? What does it taste like?
It's sweet. It's basically like a pancake.
Okay. I want to try this. I
Yes.
definitely want to try it. What about gorengan? Elm? Gorengan. Elm path, can you tell me about this? Gorengan.
Hello, I didn't even know I can talk. Gorengan
Yeah.
is fritters. I don't know how you call it in
Fritters. Oh, fritters. Okay.
like they like to fry. I don't know. It's weird, like bananas and what do you call it? Like tahu apa sih? Tofu filling. Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Okay. Wow, this is fascinating. See, I don't know about this. And so let's say I'm seeing so many possibilities. I think someone could write a song about Indonesian foods as an advocacy song for Indonesia, just for people like me to learn about everything. It's really cool. I mean, the idea of a sweet pizza sounds really delicious. What about Andina? What is Indomie? Indomie? Andina Subarja.
Hi.
Hi. What does this mean, Indomie?
Indomie is instant ramen, I think. It's
Wow, another food. It sounds like you guys have really good food there. I definitely need to check out the food. Wow. Wait, 90% of your daily vocab is slang? Jane, is this true?
Very true. We don't use a lot of the formal vocabulary in our daily lives. We come up like really short words for everything. Like let's go out and hang out somewhere. Nongkrong. It's just one word. Let's nongkrong. You know, it's like very what else? Like
Like in English, you would maybe just say like, let's hang.
yeah, but it's like it's more yeah, something like that. And oh my god, I can't think of any right now. I'm blanking.
So it's interesting because I kind of put this question of like, okay, so what's cool about Indonesia? What do you guys like about Indonesia? And what I'm receiving as the outsider is definitely food, lots of different kinds of really delicious food, which makes me want to go to Indonesia immediately. That there's kind of like seems to be this, I'm also seeing a lot about tolerance, that there is a tolerance for diversity. So a lot of diversity and a good feeling for that. And also maybe a casual quality, like that you use slang, that it's less formal, let's say. Do you guys think I have received the information correctly? The legendary Twitter memes. Oh my gosh. Okay. There's a lot here so this is something where I challenge you guys to really put this to a song, because this could be such a great like TikTok song. I feel like if you could like make this into something. What about, you haven't mentioned very much about, the dances. Finally, I'm seeing something about the dances. Clothing, humor, your jokes. Something like this. What is batik? Mario, tell me about batik. Yeah, I'm seeing batik here. What does this mean, batik?
Batik is a pattern in clothing. So we have different kinds of batik pattern from different kinds of part of Indonesia. So
really,
yes. So each district can have their own batik, especially in Java Island.
oh my gosh, I'm fascinated. Do you each have your own batik? Do you have a batik, Mario?
Yes. I think it's a formal clothing for when you go to a formal meeting or in an office. That it's a formal, it's a basic formal for everyone to wear.
I had no idea. Wow. Okay, guys, I really want to see you wear the batiks. I want to see this. That's fascinating. Who's wearing a batik? Where?
This is batik.
Wait, who says this? Let me see. Wow, Santi. Oh,
Can you
it's beautiful. Yeah, it has flowers. That's beautiful. Wow. Okay. So this is like fascinating. When we start to get into writing the Hear Her song, did you notice on the Playing for Change videos how like the guy that was playing the xylophone, I think from somewhere in Africa, was wearing kind of a traditional dress, and you know, we had different instruments, like there was a percussionist from Japan. So we definitely want to bring in some elements of Indonesian culture. I'm fascinated all this. Kebaya is for women, is that right? Asti, can you tell us about kebaya?
Yes, kebaya is a traditional clothes too from Indonesia, and it's especially for women.
Okay.
And that if you can use batik in daily life, I think kebaya is more like in special occasion, like in wedding, or maybe when you have a graduation in the college. I think something like that. And it's
Do
also
you
really
have one?
beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, you have
I
one?
have one. Maybe I can search it a little bit. If I get it, I can show you. Just
It's
a
okay
second.
for next time. Don't worry, maybe for next time. But I'm really curious, how many of you have one? Like in the chat, can you say me if you have one?
This
We
is
all
kebaya.
have. Everybody. Okay, we definitely, when we do some of the recordings, we have to incorporate this. This is fantastic. This is really fantastic. Some kebaya is also informal for college graduation. Okay. Okay. So interesting that you guys went to the food first before the clothing. I'm taking some notes here, the how you guys are thinking. Okay, let's leave this for one moment. So these are a lot of the positive things. What would you say are some of the challenges to being Indonesian? Let's switch a little bit the gear. Can you put in the chat what would be some of the difficulties, the challenges? The mindsets, huh? I've also heard you guys talk a little bit about the smog. Is the pollution really bad there? Ah. Wow. The traffic is bad, huh? This is really interesting. So, Karen Krista, can you tell me a little bit about the social mindset? Do you mind sharing, like, what are some of those challenges?
I guess from my own experience, like people here really, like we really have to show respect to the elders. For example, like if I actually have something that I really want to show or talk about, or if I wanted to oppose to someone's opinion, I can't really do that if I'm talking to someone older than me. Like even though it's even though I really want to talk about it, people usually like judge other people for talking back to elderlies.
I see. So it must be very, very difficult then to, yeah. Thank you for explaining that to me. I'm also, Ajeng, do you mind if I call on you, Ajeng Sharfina, to just tell me a little bit, what is it like there for the LGBTQ movement? Is there an LGBTQ movement? Is it, are gay rights talked about? I'm just completely as an outsider and I don't judge it. I just don't know. What is it like there?
Sure. I think we do have LGBTQ movement, but I guess for some of us, it still feels very like urban. I feel like I feel quite privileged as well, you know, as someone who doesn't as someone queer, that I have the environment that I can be myself in, but that's not always the case in, let's say, maybe in the lower economic backgrounds, or maybe in the more, just not even in the real rural areas, but just like places, little spots here and there, even in Jakarta itself. Like it's still very much a taboo thing, which is quite strange as well, because Indonesia as a culture, we have all these different regional cultures that recognizes, let's say, more than one gender, or like more than one sexuality. So but like as a nation overall, it's still very much a taboo thing to talk about, like gay rights. I feel like young people nowadays, I think in some cases are quite open and quite supportive, but it's not something that we can talk about in the media just yet, because yeah, the response and the reception is still quite dangerous.
Wow. So do you think it's an issue, for instance, professionally, to get a job? Would you feel that it's would play a role in moving forward in society in that way? Is it also affect relationships with families, or?
I think definitely, yeah, to an extent. I'm not, maybe in certain jobs, like there are certain jobs that are more welcoming, than they're more supportive of its staff than others, definitely. But it certainly puts a strain on families, at least from what I've experienced and what I've seen. First and foremost, and it's quite tough, because like Indonesia, as Indonesians, we're very close with our families, and so that can be really challenging.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for sharing this with me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, very well said. I think Jane, you're absolutely right. Ajeng, thank you for being so articulate. So there seems to be some real mindset issues, some communication issues of how do you speak up, LGBTQ rights. I'm also seeing things like low literacy and patriarchy and corruption. These are, very major challenges. Do you guys feel, how many of you feel that, let's take a vote. How many of you would say that if you were to make a song about Indonesia for an American audience like myself, that you would want it to be entirely about the things that are positive. And then I'm going to ask how many of you want it to be about the things that are negative. And then I'm going to ask how many of you think it should be about both. So let's go with number one. How many of you would want to create a song that was purely positive, like funny? I can already see like the Broadway number about the food in Indonesia. Yes, for American audiences, there's no right or wrong. There's no judgment. This is just, I'm interested in how you would approach this. Fun and full of energy and like, yeah, humorous, satirical. It looks like a lot of you would enjoy that challenge. How many of you would want to do a song that was, let's say, a call to action, maybe even an advocacy song to share some of the challenges of Indonesia with the world or with an American audience, to really say, look, this is what's going on as young people. This is what we face. You see how that would be a very different challenge. It wouldn't be a fun thing and, you know, enjoyable and high energy. It would be a challenge to make that message into something that would really wake them up, as Diana just said. So how many of you then think the third category, a mix of both? A little bit of both. So this kind of goes back to what our friend Mario was saying. You have to investigate. You have to ask more questions when you're writing lyrics. Do you see how all three are possible? You could do a song that was like, welcome to Indonesia, with like the beautiful, you know, food and the clothing and all of these, the dance, like it could really be like so spectacular. And then you could do a song that was like, whoa, here are our challenges. This is what it's like, you know, very just facing on like how the difficulties are. And those two images are very, very different images. Those two songs send very, very different messages. Ultimately, they're very different stories. And this brings me back full circle. After the break, remember I said you can tell different stories. I could tell you I'm the daughter of a Mexican mother and a Bulgarian father, and I grew up here and I did this and then I did that and so on. And I could also tell you, you know, this is the emotional side. These are this, and there's no right or wrong, but we do have to make choices. Now, the real question here, and I absolutely love everything I'm seeing in the chat. The real question here is, how do you use the song to reach a goal? Because if my goal was to have you all feel sad for me, I could sit here and tell you some very sad stories. And then we would feel sad. You would empathize with me. If my goal was to make you laugh, I could tell you some funny stories. And so what I want you to think about for the next time we meet is, what should our goal be with the Hear Her song? Remember I said we're going to thank and celebrate these women. But for the first time ever, we're adding songs into this collection. And I put in the chat the album on Spotify, but we're adding songs that are about Indonesian women. How do we want to tell the story of Indonesian women? How do we want to tell the story of Indonesia? And so there's a lot there to unpack, right? And by the way, guys, this advocacy course is not just about the songs for Hear Her song. I hope you will go on to write many, many other songs. I definitely do want to see the musical about Indonesian food. Like, I will go to that musical. And there's so much potential that can come from all of this. So I've covered a lot of like conceptual ground today. And I think you're all with me. I think you're all following this, but I want to take a little bit of time here and just answer any questions that you may have. We have a few minutes left. As I said, once we start to dive in next time, we're going to do breakout rooms. We're going to start to apply these principles. But today it was really about understanding the principles. So I want to make sure you leave today understanding what we've covered. Does anybody have any questions or comments, or maybe a story that they want to share with the group in the few minutes we have left? I'm hungry too, Natalia. I know I'm going to definitely jump off and get some food immediately. But anyone want to share anything before we dive to the next session? You guys are quiet. Okay, I have to ask. Yes, Asti.
Yeah, thank you. I just have one question. Can I ask you about, do you have a tips or maybe share your experience to be an empathetic person, even though we are not in their shoes or we don't know how they are feeling? Yeah.
That's
So
a
that's my
great question. Wow, thank you for asking that question. I think that empathy, well, there has been a lot of scientific proof now that empathy can be grown. And empathy comes with life experience, but it also comes through the arts. And what I can do, Asti, to try to answer your question well, is to put together a few articles and videos on this subject, because it's a big subject. But I would say definitely when you even have a conversation with someone, if you start to think about not just listening to their words, but listen to this story really carefully. Empathy is entirely about listening. If you see a woman and she looks sad, but she says, no, I'm fine, but she looks sad, what is it inside of you that says she looks sad? You know, what is it inside of you that's picking up the sadness? I guess what I'm trying to say is the more that you trust your instincts in listening, the more that you can pick up empathetic cues. And I think also for me, a lot of it ties to animals. I mean, some of you know I have a dog, but with animals, we don't have a language. We don't have the words. And yet I think we learn to communicate. And that communication is almost entirely through empathy, right? We learn to listen to the cues of the animals so acutely that we can even listen to an energy, let's say, or a feeling. And starting to trust that is the process of expanding the empathy, if that makes sense. I'll find some videos. Do you guys like it when I share links and videos, or is it too much? Because I love to share materials, but I also don't want to like bombard you. Is it good? Yes, no, tell me in the chat. Yes. Okay, cool. Very cool. Awesome. Well, I think we're probably going to take a photo now, and we've covered a lot, and I know this is like an emotional session, but I feel like we are growing closer by the day, and it makes me so excited to get to the songwriting. So I'm going to turn it to JPAC now. I think they're probably going to guide us with the photo. Brene Brown is awesome. Thank you, Linda, for that tip.
Yeah. Okay. So before we close, let's have a photo session. All right. I'm gonna count it in 3, 2, 1. All right. One more page. And 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's done. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending today's class. Don't forget that we have another exciting session next week. See you guys later on. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody. Great session.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carla.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you, everybody.
Go eat some nice foods.
You too.
Don't eat Indomie.